Okay, hello again, everyone. Looks like we're still getting some stragglers joining, but we're going to go ahead and get started here. This is a really well-attended webinar. It's great to see. We're here with our friends at ABC Financial. Obviously, we're talking about a clear industry hot button, how to increase retention and growth with exceptional customer service. So today, I have with me Kelly Card, not only a fellow industry thought leader, but a good friend. Hi, Kelly. How are we doing?
Hey, Marty. Thanks for having me today.
Of course, of course. We're going to go ahead and dive in. Obviously, you and I, have a lot of experience with this, so very excited to share some of our thoughts with the group. So thanks again for joining.
Absolutely.
Great. So I thought what I would do right here at the front end is just spend, a minute or so on, what is ClubOS. So, we are the leading lead management and retention tool in the fitness industry. We are deeply integrated with ABC Financial, both on a partnership level as well as a the technical side. So data transfers pretty seamlessly between the two systems, which allows us to both do what we're really strong at. It makes for a great integration. What ClubOS does is helps with the entire sort of member journey, which is what we're going to be talking about primarily today. So it starts with lead acquisition, capturing those leads from all the different sources that you may have. That then leads into the follow-up. So putting your prospects into a particular follow-up cadence, be it call, text, or email. You're able to schedule those sales appointments directly in ClubOS, making it really easy for the team to all stay in sync and in sync with their prospects as well. You're able to text message and email directly through ClubOS to keep that all under one roof. And then last but not least, obviously, is the reporting side. You need to know, how well your team is performing. What is the ROI on your marketing initiatives, all those things. So ClubOS is going to help you with all that, and again, deeply integrated with ABC to offer that.
And I think as we talk about the customer service experience and how we can expand beyond the workers that we have in the club, I think ClubOS it's important to note that it's an important tool in how we can extend our reach and connect with more customers more thoughtfully.
Absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Let's get started and dive in here to what we're all here for, which is, the customer experience at your club. As we mentioned, today we're going to uncover how your customer experience not only increases retention, but can also provide growth within the club. This is especially important during the upcoming busy season with the New Year's resolution crowd right around the corner, as we all know. When we say the customer experience, we mean how your members view your gym and what their particular journey would look like. Everything adds to your customer experience, including your employees, the classes, PT options that you may or may not offer, the equipment you have, the overall theme of your gym or studio. I could go on and on here, but that all impacts, the customer experience. So if that experience is cohesive and positive, you will clearly see higher retention rates, but also an increase in the number of membership sales. There are 5 main stages here to the customer experience, and that begins with awareness. So at this point, the prospect has heard of your gym. Maybe they got some of your marketing, a mailer, whatever promotion you're running. They've heard of you, and ultimately moving into the consideration phase. Should they join your gym or maybe another option? From there, they purchase a membership. Again, that's hopefully they purchase a membership, and then from there, hopefully becoming a loyal member. Then you reach the point that we're talking about today, which is advocacy. The advocacy phase really means more referrals, reviews, word of mouth, all of these things combined to bring you more clients. So as we go through today, remember that everything will tie back to this advocacy phase of the customer experience. That's what we're focusing on today, is the bottom of that funnel. Some things that could affect this experience and encourage someone encourage someone not to go from loyalty to advocacy would be things like employees who are not engaging, sitting there Snapchatting their phones or whatever the kids are into these days, dirty equipment, dirty locker rooms, again, the list goes on and on. So if you have one of these things, it may not bring down the entire customer experience, but if you have multiple aspects here that could seem subpar, you're going to see less people in the advocacy stage. That's just how it works. At this point, it's no secret, everybody here knows that ABC Financial is well known for the world-class customer experience. So Kelly, all of us are trying our best to mimic ABC here. So can you, one, explain how you view the customer experience internally, and 2, how a gym could take that viewpoint and use it?
Well, I think that one of the core differentiators that ADC provides to its customers, and the example that we can offer is, it is a core part of our culture to go above and beyond to create that raving fan customer experience. And our way of bringing that into the club world is not only having that be a core component of the culture, but then utilizing data, utilizing technology to help us extend that experience and predict the needs of our customers, and the trends that the data lead us to, so that we can provide that better experience, increase retention, and of course then increase the revenue opportunity.
Yeah, I love what you said there. I mean, using technology is key. Obviously, these days you can't be everywhere all the time, so you have to know, where should I focus my efforts? And I think that's extremely important, especially as you move forward with all this new technology that's available.
Absolutely.
All right, so with the customer experience, it all starts right when everybody knows this, it all starts at the door. Specifically, when a prospect first walks in and gets an impression, this idea that your customer experience starts at the door really means that you treat every prospect as if they are going to become a member, no matter what the circumstances are. Their experience begins when they first make contact. So whether that's in person, a phone call, on a web lead form, this experience needs to be the same, and they need to be treated as if they were a member already. So, I mean, it's how can you actually do that? How can you make it to where every single person gets a red carpet experience? From a warm welcome to any small but meaningful additions that you can provide, it all makes a difference. To make it easy and inviting, we recommend having a digital guest waiver right at the front, not a paper waiver, of days gone by, on hand for the salespeople to use. This allows a seamless and simple way to capture prospect information without having to find a pen and paper, obviously.
I would also interject, Marty, and say that it's a scalable solution, because if we're relying on one employee that may be better than the other, this is a scalable process that can be deployed very easily across all of our staff at the club level.
Absolutely, yeah. You no longer get to rely on just what's in the salesperson's head. It's scalable. You don't lose any information. You're not slowing down the process. And really, it also provides sort of a modern, clean experience. That's what members expect now, is to have some sort of digital, clean-looking digital guest waiver. We also recommend, on that note, to run through a tour of the facilities digitally. This makes it extremely easy for the prospect to come in, find everything out they want to know, and sign up in one simple process. It's always important for your team to take them on the tour of the entire facility so they can get the full experience. But once you get back, a short presentation on the features and anything that wasn't covered on the walking tour is there and easy to read. Like I said before, gone are the days of the laminated card. This is also, a really great place to cover pricing digitally and show different packages that match exactly what the prospect is looking for. Having all this stuff too done digitally, I want to add, really adds to the customer experience. It also makes it easier on your team. No more lost forms like we talked about, handwriting that's too hard to read, and really it's great to have that liability waiver on file. It's not lost, it's stored digitally, and in our case, it's stored directly in ClubOS. Now you have the prospect. So what do you do when you want to communicate with them throughout the whole sales process? You really do have the ability to create a relationship here as you walk them through the process. We talk a lot about what that communication should look like, but ultimately, it's really up to you and what you think is best for your clients. Every sales process in the history of ever has been different. So depending on your demographics, you can tweak your strategy, make it work for your gym. For example, if you host a lot of senior citizens, a phone call is definitely going to be a lot more effective than a text message. If you have a lot of folks, the millennial group between the ages of 24 and I think it's 35, text messaging and email is just going to work a lot better. We know, like I said, we know every sales process is different. Some short, some long, some difficult, some easy. When you have a consistent communication strategy in place, no matter what your sales cycle looks like, your prospect or customer relationships get stronger, and then you ultimately set up your team for success. So, the ability to fit different sales processes with a consistent communication strategy is really key here. We want to go over some of the best ways to communicate with your prospects, because this is really what this is doing, is setting the tone for their entire customer experience. It's important to personalize, be timely, and be unique. It may sound a bit monotonous, but we're really a big fan of scripting here and putting the scripting in place for your salespeople. When most people think of these scripts, they think they're boring, not personal, and short. Here at Club West, we look at scripts as a baseline for your salespeople that they can use to create a relationship. For example, if you have an email script going out to someone who is currently on a guest pass, you can use dynamic tags to add their name, location, and more. And for those of you who may not know, a dynamic tag is where the email or text or whatever it is fills in automatically to the prospect or members' personal information, so you don't have to change it every time. It's just going to fill it in based on the data you have on hand. And what this does, it helps the email seem personal while not taking too much time out of your salesperson's day. And because the script is already there inside your Club OS account, you ensure that your team is being consistent every single time they communicate with someone from your gym. I like to think that once that baseline script is in place, salespeople can then begin to add their own personality to it. So the bones are there. What they're doing is kind of just adding their own flair. And in my mind, this is really what separates the good salespeople from the great ones. So giving them that tool to start with is important, and then allowing them to kind of tweak it on their own, as they get to be more and more familiar with it. Also, what you can see here is we recommend using a mixture of calling, emailing, and texting. By combining them, you really are increasing the chances of reaching that prospect in the way they want to be reached. So again, for example, you have a cadence set up where on the first day they get a phone call, 3 days later, they get a text with an offer, 2 weeks later they get an email with another offer. You never know, which one of those might strike them as worth it. And so long as you're compliant with the laws around it, we find texting to be one of the most effective ways of communication today. It's extremely easy for the prospect or customer to respond to, and it's less invasive than, say, a phone call. By using all different communication methods, by the way, your prospect is much more likely to be receptive and engaged. No longer are we seeing the clubs where 10 phone calls in a row, just call, but more of a thoughtful email or text mixed in between. And lastly, by honing your cadences and continuing to iterate on them and seeing what works best, you really can optimize that for your club and your particular demographic. So it's not a set it forget it Ron Popeil type setup. It's more of a continue to hone that over time. So now that prospect became a member, woohoo, right? We're done. Well, no, that's not really the case. Your communication skills have paid off, and your prospect's now a member. But now what? They are a member, so now we just don't have to do anything more with them, right? So that's obviously wrong. This is actually where you should be putting the majority of your effort, because if these members have great experiences and they become advocates for your gym, that's going to lead to the retention and referrals and ultimately more members that we mentioned at the front end. With the New Year's resolution crowd too right around the corner, we see that everyone is focused on those new members, as and well they should be, because it's great. It's a salmon run. It's it's the busiest month of the year. But we also don't want to forget about our loyal or advocate members during this time. We want to show you in the next few slides that you can actually do both at the same time. Work on your current member experience and also bring in a slew of those new clients in January. So really, as a salesperson, we all have egos. We like to think the hard work was done, trying to convert that prospect to a member. But in reality, the real work begins now, especially in the busy seasons where you're about to get an influx of these new members. Your members can be looked at as really your greatest asset. Between reviews, referrals, word of mouth, and much more, they can bring in more business than an advertisement on Facebook or Twitter. And the greatest thing about it is they are already paying you. This is where your customer experience that we've been talking about can really begin. Everything from having clean equipment to an easy check-in process allows your member to have a better, more simple experience. There are a couple of things that you can do to make your customer experience stand out and make your customers really, feel special. Like having an email blast. In our case, Club OS can handle those. Go out on their birthdays with a free shake or 25% off the pro shop. That's a really nice touch to send out to the members. Also, when they come in at the beginning and tell you about their goals, these should be saved on their profile. Great to kind of take a look at later down the line and can help with the upsells as well. It's a great idea also to have a blast email that goes out once a month to give them the latest class schedules. All these little pieces of communication obviously go a long, long way. Another example we have here, and we've seen a lot of successful clubs do, is an event monthly that is members only that will help your gym start feeling like more of a community and less like a bunch of strangers that are sort of running on treadmills next to each other. If you're a very large gym, these events can help everyone get to know each other, and maybe they will see a familiar face the next time they come in. Bring in a nutritionist and have them answer questions for an hour, or have a personal trainer put together a short workout, have it printed out for everyone that every member can use. So all of these things can help build a better customer experience, and when people are happy, they just can't help but tell their family, friends, and whoever it may be.
And I think in general, we are an industry of service. We love our members. We want them to succeed, but customer service today really is being redefined by how we communicate with the customer and the transparency that we provide with the customer. So we have to be thoughtful in that engagement. We have to make sure that communication is handled most appropriately when we're onboarding them, so that as we are doing these continual customer service outreaches and events, that it is very personal and dear to them.
Yeah, that's a great point, Kelly, and it kind of transitions nicely into the next stage here, which is, these people are happy, they're taken care of, the customer service is great. So that's when we can move to referrals, and not just referrals alone, but actually using referrals as a retention tool as well. We look at that all too often. As a revenue producing tool, that's exciting, don't get me wrong. But in the long run, you'll see how truly valuable they are to your retention rates. People who have a workout buddy or partner, they're more likely to stick to their workouts, meaning more likely to stick with your gym. When you start looking at referrals as a way to keep your members coming back, your mindset changes a little bit to a more, customer experience focused club. So what is the best way to get referrals? I think that's an industry buzzword. Everybody, claims to impact referrals, but what really is the best way to get them? We think that asking for a referral works really well in a couple different parts, of that life cycle journey. So to start off, obviously, when a member first signs up, this has been around since I think health clubs started. But when a member first signs up, it's a great time to ask if there's anyone else they would want to come in, get the same deal they're getting, or even give them some kind of incentive for doing so. At this point in their journey, they're obviously excited about their new toy, which is the gym membership, and might be more willing to share with friends and family. Secondly, having a digital referral form makes it easy to pass the iPad over to them and let them fill it out, rather than just writing them down, just like we were talking about earlier with the lead form, the liability waiver. That can all get lost. But capturing those referrals via a referral form and having those feed into whatever lead management system you're using is especially helpful. And if you're running some sort of promotion and need to know who referred who and how many referrals were actually successful, all those metrics, you can do that if you're using a system that actually collects that data. We see another really good time to ask for referrals about 30 days in. As we know, people can start to fall off after about 1 to 2 months of membership. So communication then and getting them engaged should help combat this cycle. So it's a great time to have their friends come in free. They are ultimately going to give that extra push of support. If after you asked for feedback around the 1 month mark and you're feeling good about their feedback, send them a referral form and let them know about any specials you're running them. From there, every month or two, you should be sending out referral asks, running promotions to get more referrals in the door, etc. It never hurts to ask as long as you know that member is happy. And on that point, Kelly, what do clubs, in your mind, what do clubs need to do today to generate referrals that may be different than what worked in the past?
Well, what I love about what you're saying is that referrals are typically a fairly manual and labor-intensive process for clubs and our sales teams, and then we also have the timing factor to consider. So by automating that process, we're again simplifying it and hitting the right timing every time when we're asking for referrals. And not only are referrals important to hit from a timing perspective with this type of communication, but then also asking for referrals from various technology platforms, whether it's through your mobile app or if they are responding to a campaign via email. there are many different ways that those referrals can be captured, brought into DataTrack, brought into ClubOS, and then systematically and methodically followed up into workflows.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. There's a lot of really good lead generation tools out there. ClubOS does not claim to actually be generating the leads. Our main focus is just capture them. So you're right. There are a number of great sort of new digital platforms out there. Ultimately, we just want to be, what captures them and sends them down that sales process. It's a great point.
And I think it's important that ClubOS integrates with those other providers. So whether that be through your mobile app with FitMetrics or with NetPulse, where you can go in and select from your contacts in your phone who you want to refer and send a guest pass to, dramatically changes the way that a referral can be made. It's not writing a name and an email address on a sheet of paper anymore. It's sending a personal text message now from your phone to your friends with that link for that pass in it, and running those programs through loyalty, like with our friends at Perkville, for example. So many great avenues to utilize technology at very minimal cost, at very minimal effort, and then have ClubOS follow up and bring them in as members.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned a few names, all great partners, and we just, like I said, want to be that system that just captures everything all in one place. Great stuff, Kelly. All right, so a little bit more about communicating with members. We know that everybody has limited staff, but you still want to focus on the sales process, right? So it can be difficult to make sure that your members are getting communication from you, and better yet, communication that they actually want to engage with. That's where ClubOS can come in and help. So setting up a follow-up cadence for your members allows your team to run through their communications quickly and easily. It's not one by one. They can do these things with the scripts that we talked about. You can set the time in between each communication, what each one should say, whether it should be a call, a text, or an email. We really make it extremely easy to start reaching out to your customers and know that it's all with relevant information in this way. One of the best things you can do at this point too is ask your members for feedback, good, bad, or ugly. In fact, I like to say the bad feedback is even more valuable than the good feedback, but this should be the case. This should be the base for all of your communication attempts. That will not only help improve your customer experience, but ensure that your members are being heard. Sometimes they just want to vent, so it's a great avenue to kind of let them do that, see what's going on, and then ultimately turn that frown upside down. This is a great starting point too for any further communication with that particular member. So when you look at the member communication here's an example of an email. Very simple, but we want to give you some ideas here when reaching out to your members. It's an approach that's focused on their needs and wants, but circles back into bringing you ultimately more membership sales. So like I mentioned, as you reach out to these members, ask for the feedback. If the feedback's good, ask for reviews on Yelp or Google. Getting more reviews in these review sites allow you to grow your internet presence organically and very inexpensively, like Kelly mentioned, and bring in more members. So, when you really think about it, when choosing a business, how often do you actually just go to the internet reviews first? I mean, I do for any number of things, especially when I'm joining a new gym. You can assume the same is happening when people are deciding on using, your club. So, that's if you receive great feedback, send them to a review site. But if it's not great, correct it and, ensure their experience improves. So we see a lot of businesses who, don't ask for feedback and then are shocked when their member cancels over something that could have easily been fixed. If you ask for this feedback routinely in the beginning, you can catch the issues early and correct them. So it's really not that hard. You just don't want to let any of these things sort of fester and get worse. Call, text, or email just to check in on their goals. Remind them of upcoming events. Send them specials for extras like personal training or group classes. By keeping this line of communication open, the member feels much more in tune with the gym and obviously is much more likely to keep coming. As you can see here, it's also very helpful and important to remind them of upcoming deadlines of a PT package or their membership. If you do this in a fun, non-intrusive way, it can come off as you're doing them a favor by reminding them. It's also great for you because you can push to keep that revenue coming in for, say another 5 sessions or another year membership. It's great to kind of keep sort of a personal voice here too. You don't want it to sound too robotic, too monotonous. It's really, people like to see like emails with a little bit of personality. Here at Club OS, we put a huge focus on that as well. Now, I know that seems like a lot of work for one member, but if you automate it, like a system like a lead management system like Club OS could help you with, and have a follow-up schedule and scripts ready to go, all those things, your employees will get through them much, much more quickly. And we'll take a little bit more of an in-depth look at that automation as well. Here we're going to cover what specifically that membership communication should look like. Now that you have some ideas of what you could be reaching out to your members with, you can see how valuable it can be here. We want to show you some specific examples of what we've seen about what the potential for customer communication is, how far apart each one of these communication outreaches should be, even some example scripts and when to use each communication method. Also, I want to add that the entire scope of features that we are showing is also available on the sales side for prospects. You can replicate this process for your incoming prospects so they're each given specific attention. Obviously, we're talking about members here, but the same concept can apply to prospects as well. So we did a lot of research earlier this year on sort of member communication, when to reach out and through what method. If you're using Club OS, you know that we have different statuses for different types of members. So for example, we have a simple member status that kicks off right when they sign a contract. We also have a status for delinquent members, frozen, members who are about to cancel. Because you can get so granular with these, it ensures that no communication is lost. So as an example for our member status, you can see we have an email going out to them on their first day here. This would be scripted with an email that says, hey, welcome to the gym, lists out the class schedule hours, mentions a PT special. If they didn't already book their fitness assessment, you can mention that here as well. It's really, the goal here is to get these people plugged into your gym and excited about what they just purchased, really. After about 5 days, it's helpful to reach out to your member and hear any preliminary feedback. Also, since it's earlier in the membership, this is where tracking check-ins becomes vitally important. You can see if they've come in yet, and if not, obviously very concerning. So this call is more about welcoming them and getting them going if they haven't checked in that time. Here we have, after about 1 month, 3 to 4 weeks really, a text about any current offers, PT, group classes. It's helpful here. It can produce an upsell opportunity early. From then on, it's simply about checking in, asking for feedback, and then ultimately getting those referrals. So as we mentioned, everybody knows that club usage really is the main retention driver. Kelly, ABC I know captures those check-ins and transfers that information to systems like Club OS. Why do you think capturing all of this the data is so important?
Well, anytime we have an opportunity to gain insight into member behavior, we have an opportunity to better retain that member, to upsell to that member, and capturing data points like check-in really is a key component to that. It gives us indicators as to how often they're coming in, and if they are loving the club, perhaps it's the right time to present a PT offer, or if they haven't come in, perhaps we want to have very specific communication or no communication with someone who may cancel if they hear from us. So check-in data is a key component to, like I said, that predictive behavior, good and bad.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if a particular member is coming in like every other day, that person's the one you should be asking for referrals or reviews. But, the people that haven't shown up in a couple of months, you might want to switch your tone to see how you can actually, help them get reintegrated into the club ultimately. I wanted to also quickly show this email that a colleague of mine recently received. Although it's not from a gym, I wanted to show, how creative you can get with your most simple emails. This is a confirmation of payment, a simple email that a lot of gyms send, but they made this one about more than just the fact that you just paid $10. They made you feel good about paying that $10. I really wanted to show this to prove that every email you send can be part of your brand. Earlier we talked about having that voice, having that messaging across the entire organization. A simple confirmation email like this can have some easy workout ideas, a couple of healthy recipes, a personal trainer spotlight. All of these things make your gym seem much more approachable and help create deeper, happier customer relationships. So I thought I'd just share that example of something that we received recently that can be leveraged, within your club as well. So we talked about communication at a high level, but then, comes the automation of that communication, making it sort of happen in the background in tandem with, the individual reach outs with the sales team and the front desk. So all this communication obviously is fine and dandy really until somebody has to do it. So if you're a small club with just a couple of employees, or even an extremely busy club with limited employees, it can be very hard to find the time. That's why you have to automate these reminders. Sticky notes and pen and paper, again, just aren't going to cut it if you're going to make it a customer experience that really is that much better. Have everything too in one simple place, one simple software for your employees to use, makes it easier on them. So it also actually makes it easier on you as a manager too, so you can keep track of everything that's being done. You no longer have to just take somebody's word for it saying they did something, but you can just in one place see how efficient your employees are being and how many follow-ups are being done day by day. So the automation process here, because things can fall through the cracks, setting up an automated schedule helps your team, again, no matter how big or small, stay on top of their follow-ups. This goes for prospect and members. How this works is you set up a follow-up schedule like you saw on the previous slide. And once the member hits, for example, their 5 days post-membership, a person on your team gets a reminder to follow up with them. In this reminder, there's a script that you've already laid out for call, text, or email, whichever you're using. There's also a place where they can add in internal notes so that, if somebody else is following up with them next, they're going to have that full backstory. Using reminders allows your team to stay on top of the members without duplicating the work. All too often we see two salespeople calling on the same person because the same sticky note was sitting at the desk. This is not only annoying to a member to get the same phone call 3 times, it also makes you look disorganized. Having a software, again, like ClubOS creates an organized way to keep the communication consistent. When a follow-up reminder is used, you can be sure that it's being seen and being done, unlike a more disorganized pattern of writing things down or using an Excel sheet or what some of us may still be doing. So, the bottom line is using ClubOS to track your follow-ups allows you to automate and delegate and ensure that every member is having that same similar great experience that you're striving to implement. So we've communicated effectively with that member. They've been with us for a little while. Obviously, upselling is key. We're seeing this more and more across the board with the clubs that we're working with. We see upselling opportunities, honestly, as a way to enhance the customer's experience, not just for added revenue. When you look at deeper retention rates, you'll most likely see that that member was involved in some other aspect of your gym other than just membership, and then that's going to lead to them staying longer. If they regularly go to group classes or use your kids club or have a personal trainer, they become more invested and obviously less likely to fall off the train. That's why this upselling is a huge part of your retention plan. And obviously it adds revenue too, which, that's the bottom line. That's what we're all doing it for. But not only increasing that revenue, but, keeping that person longer. And so we have Ron Burgundy here. So everybody has a different way of looking at upselling. It can be slightly off-putting to members if it really is done incorrectly. If you're solely looking for the extra revenue, it's going to come off that way. People can smell the used car salesman. If you're looking at it as a real customer experience addition, it will feel more organic and like you're looking out for the member's best interests instead of just your own, and sort of that more consultative approach. Same thing, when you talk about modern sales, like we're, here at ClubOS, we try to avoid this used car salesman approach, and we treat every prospect and every member like with a, how can we help you, sort of consultative approach. There's so many different ways that you can weave an upsell into a check-in. When your prospect first comes in, asking about their goals and making sure those goals are attached to their profile inside of a system like ClubOS, that will help you start that conversation later. Knowing that data from that person. We see most gyms or studios today offer a free consultation, which is great and a great upselling opportunity, but those can often feel a little bit salesy. We like a great upsell campaign where you offer, one full training session for $20 or something like that. This makes it apparent that the member will still get a full workout experience and not just a short consultation with a sales pitch. And that $20 or small amount can add a lot of value to it as well, ensuring that they're actually going to come in. Doing a full workout is obviously a better way of selling personal training anyway. So, getting them in there for 60 minutes versus, 10 or 15 and then just going right for the sales pitch. We showed a couple slides back. Having follow-ups that remind someone of an upcoming renewal on their membership date is great for upselling. You can remind them it's ending soon, show them a couple of new packages that you might have offered since they last signed up, and get them signed up, for another year. One thing we see when a member says they haven't come in because their schedule is too crazy, offer them a one-time a week PT package where they can get the most out of their one workout each week if they're too busy. Having upsell language in each of your scripts will help your salespeople remember when and how to pitch different features, making it much easier to never forget to ask.
And Marty,
go ahead, Kelly.
Before we move on too far from the upsell, a couple of points that I'd like to add is when we're upselling, we really have to see upsell as an opportunity to help our members achieve their goal faster, whether that's to be thinner, whether that's to be tanner, whether that's to feel better. Upsell is an opportunity to be better faster. And that really comes back to knowing our customer and being in that constant communication with our customer. And the other point that I would like to make on that is we are entering into and have entered into a new era of fitness where the race to the bottom is over. There is more revenue on the table for us to capture from members coming into the door. We know that a holistic lifestyle is what is trending. They are looking for answers from their health clubs, from their gyms. They're looking for Pilates. They're looking for pain management. They're looking for nutrition. They're looking for reduced medical spending. So all of those things go into upsell. And really how we position ourselves as an industry right now around the upsell is critical. But that communication piece is what is most critical.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about when we talk about the consultative sales approach. You really care about, what can help them. You're not, obviously in a lot of cases there's commission tied to it for the salesperson, but, the best salespeople are really trying to understand what can help prospects and members. It doesn't come off as that sort of used car salesman example we used. So now we're going to talk about getting canceled members back. Now we talked about having amazing customer experience, retention rates through the roof, all those things. But even with the best customer experience out there, there's still going to be people who fall off, right? I know everybody hates this, but whether it's financial reasons, moving, family, whatever it may be, people do eventually cancel a membership. But here, at Club OS, we believe that even though they left, they aren't too far gone to get back. If they cancel for a reason that's out of your control, then it's really best to leave them be. But if a member leaves and the reason was something you could have prevented, then don't give up on them, just yet. When they cancel, it's important to ask, why they canceled, so you can track this information in one place, and then you can use that data later down the line in some sort of email campaign. As you can see in the email above, there is a great example of how to get a canceled member back into your gym to show them, what they're missing out on. By sending a class schedule, a canceled member might see a new time or a new class that would spark their interest. You should also send them your very best promotions, just in case a lower price point was really what might entice them to come back to your gym. It's also very, very important to ask these canceled members for feedback. We all love to be heard, and if someone had a bitter experience or an unhappy experience that led them to cancel, it's better for them to send that to you and mitigate it than to have it plastered all over Yelp or Google or your Facebook page. So very important to get in front of that before it becomes a problem. Really, the biggest piece of advice we give here is to not harass ex-members, but don't give up either. A follow-up email one time a month with any new additions, promotions, new changes, can go very far. Even if you're only to get about 1 to 2 canceled members back a month, that would be more than worth it, for very, very little groundwork with those. All right, so we talked earlier about the New Year's rush. We all know it's upon us, the salmon run. We all love January. We are sure there's a lot of information out there on how to make the most of capturing membership sales during this busy time. There's nothing obviously more exciting than knowing you're getting an influx of members, finding new ways to capitalize on that. We completely agree that that's important, but we also want to remind everyone just how important it is to treat your current members well during these busy times. I think we all know that the rush of people can be overwhelming for members who have been coming in for months. So show those members some love. Make sure they stick around, through this busy time. We put together a couple ideas on the next slide here that could spark some creativity within your club. So winter is coming. So first is, we find that hosting events for your members is a really great way to build rapport and create a community, really. Hosting a members-only event in January and having all sorts of healthy snacks, printable workouts, $20 personal training vouchers, or whatever else comes to mind will really help bring those members together and show that you're interested in their gym experience, not just the new members. This really should be branded for current members and not so much a January sales event. Send out email reminders to those who join your gym before the holiday rush to show them a little love. Also, we know that members can get increasingly frustrated when their favorite equipment is crowded or the classes they love have gotten, just too busy to attend. So another idea is that, during this time, open up a couple new classes and send that schedule to just current members. This allows your members to have a less crowded experience and actually get into the classes that they've already loved. We want to also think that sending your members the least busy times to your gym based on your check-in data is really helpful in providing the least crowded experience. And then lastly, another thing we recommend for you, and this is more for your more engaged members, send out a promotion for the holiday rush on personal training. Not only is this a great opportunity to upsell, but you can pitch it in a way that your personal trainers have blocked off time for these members who have been active for a while, and they feel like they're getting a special rate because of the overcrowdedness. This is a great way to get more personal training time booked, obviously, but it's also a great way to make your current members feel special and like they haven't been forgotten about. So really quickly, I just want to kind of provide a quick recap here. I know we covered a ton of information, so we're gonna wrap up things here with just a quick overview of what we talked about today. 4 main points really, and one is your customer experience is based on a lot of things, but relevant communication is the top priority. If you're not communicating with members at the right time with the right message, then that customer experience just is not going to be there, no matter what else you do. Revenue growth within your club doesn't always come from ads and events. True growth comes from the referrals and the word of mouth from your current members. So not only providing that customer experience, but then encouraging those things down the line have just as much of an impact as, say, signing new members. During the busy holiday season that's right around the corner, hold on to your current members by checking in with them consistently, attending to their needs just like any other time of the year. Ultimately they're really more important more important than your new signups in January, because they've been paying you for maybe a couple years. So those are really your more important clients. And then lastly, make sure members feel like royalty. Make them happy, make them raving fans, as Kelly used earlier. And they will reciprocate the kindness, both in recurring payments and referrals. Before we kind of wrap up here, I did have one more question for you, Kelly. So, after everything we covered today, I know we went, 47 minutes and counting here, so there's a lot of great information. Between appointments, PT sessions, check-ins, all of that, how can someone already use ABC Financial fit a system like ClubOS into their workflow?
Well, I think the important thing to consider is for anyone using ABC, ABC is the hub of the data. That is where the information is being gathered. But ClubOS is the action system that allows you to drive that communication, drive that upsell, and drive that revenue.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, our system on top of ABC really does provide for a great tandem solution. Like we mentioned at the beginning, I do want to make one last point here. There's still time for ClubOS to help you with that January rush. And I did want to mention a great, promotion we're running. For any of those that are interested, please contact us to learn more about that. You can see this is our contact information here. These slides are going to be shared. The webinar recording is going to be shared. We've already been in contact with many of you, so we appreciate the time spent both on the webinar today as well as previously. And I also want to say a special thanks to Kelly Card. Really appreciate your time and insight here today, Kelly. This has been great.
Great talking with you, Marty.
Have a great rest of your day, everyone. We really appreciate it and look forward to chatting soon. Take care.